Now I would like to hand over to Mr. Steve Phillips, General Secretary of CEDR, Road Directors Platform. Mr. Phillips, can you tell us more about vision of CEDR? Welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, and it's really great to be here. Hello, everyone. Okay, that's when if we were physical, people would be saying hello back to me. But
they were raising hands.
They were raising hands. Brilliant.
At
Okay,
least.
it's great to be here, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank Martin and Christelle for organising this excellent roadshow and bringing together all of the accomplishments of C Roads after the last 4 years. I mean, I remember it was, over 10 years ago. Some people will remember, but with the Amsterdam group, some people again may remember that. Between ASICAP, we just heard from, between Car to Car Consortium, you've heard of those, and Ricardo also mentioned Polis. So looking at many of these aspects of CITS, and it's very welcoming, shall we say, that the dream that was created within the Amsterdam group is being actually deployed on our roads now, and it's very gratifying to see that. Anyway, what can because this is about CITS, what's next? So what can I add to this discussion? Because you've just heard from Jacqueline, and I think she highlighted a lot of the points, and far be it from me to disagree with her. I wouldn't dare. But let's just see, maybe some of the subtleties in how we would approach this, because clearly, we have the views there of the commercial motorway operators, and CEDR represents the national road administrations. We have over 30 national road administrations from right across Europe engaged in CEDR activities, working directly for the directors of roads, who are my bosses, the CEOs, the general directors. And collectively, CEDR, we're looking at some of the figures. CEDR covers, or CEDR members support, over 80% of the road freight across the whole of the continent of Europe. That's not just the EU, but the whole of the continent of Europe. And I think, as we come out of COVID and we look back, and just make a slight aside, because I heard today that the World Health Organization has recognized road transport workers, truck drivers as essential workers, and I think that's a great recognition for the work they've done throughout this whole crisis. And I think, we really need to underline that roads and road transport have been, contrary to what you may hear coming from some quarters in Brussels, really has been the most resilient mode of transport, and has kept our hospitals, our supermarkets, our shops, etc., full of all the goods that we've needed, and I want to pay homage to them. Anyway, again, what are the differences? I mean, some of the differences, if we look at CEDR, across the whole of the network, if we look at it, and I just want to, I guess, refer back to what Ricardo was saying, because he was talking about not leaving any of the cities behind. And I would stress, I think, even further than that, not leaving any of the roads behind. Because across the CEDR network, only around 50% of the roads are actually 10T. So, and indeed, only around 40% are not motorways. Are not motorways. So, we have a huge challenge there to think of this whole network and ensure that none of the network is left behind. And I really want to, again, underline that today, because when we talk about Vision Zero, we already know that motorways are the safest roads. Europe has the safest motorways on the planet, the safest roads on the planet. Of course, we can do more, and we're fully committed to Vision Zero. And I think, many of the activities that C Roads has been directly doing, just paying attention to things like the road worker warning systems, absolutely vital, and things that we need to roll out. But we also need to make sure that when we are rolling out these great initiatives and the technology and the systems, that we're not leaving roads behind, and that we are developing Vision Zero for the whole of the road network. And as I say, that includes the cities, that includes all of the different roads that make up our networks. So that, I think, underlines again, we're totally in line with ASICAP in terms of our Vision Zero. In terms of the carbon-free mobility, again, decarbonisation is a key issue. And I cannot see how we can deliver, a decarbonised road transport system, or reduce the energy intensity of our road transport system without a lot of these cooperative and collaborative systems. We absolutely need that connectivity right across our network. And that, unfortunately, is where we are, shall we say, held back again by some of the white spots on our networks. And we heard this morning about the rollout of 5G. Again, we need to also push the 4G as well as all of the other short range systems that C-Roads has been working on. So those are absolutely essential to bring together this whole toolkit to develop our decarbonized systems. And I would say, this again extends not only about the cars, because the cars are coming, but also the trucks, and our whole logistics system needs to be redefined, and some of the projects that have been embedded and connected with C-Roads, again, have been looking at some of the logistics aspects. Jacqueline mentioned also the very important aspect of road maintenance, but if I can, I would broaden that out, shall we say, quite considerably, because from our perspective, this is about the whole area of asset management, which of course is the other key pillar of what road authorities do. It's managing the assets and making sure the assets are there, but also that they are providing the services that are needed and reducing the impacts. So this includes all of the issues to do with how do we get the best out of our aging assets, because many of them were built a long time ago, but also how do we improve the environmental sustainability. So issues like the circular economy in our construction, about reducing noise and other annoyances. How do we develop a range of things. So we really need to work together on this asset management thing, and that's why I'm happy, at least within CEDR, and I hope with other partners, we can start to break down some of the silos, shall we say, that have existed, if you like, between the asset management side and the traffic management side of many of the road authorities. And we're planning to be launching a program on data, and look at data as the gel that will bring together these different sides. So we get a win-win. The asset management side will be able to develop better systems. As Jacqueline says, maybe it'll be cheaper, maybe it'll just be better performing. And then, of course, we can improve our asset management. And I think it's important to keep these two sides together, because if I can just, a little anecdote of one of the challenges that we faced over the many years. Over 10 years ago in a Brussels debate, one of the Brussels ITS experts was telling me and trying to convince me how cooperative ITS would help, because it would allow cars to avoid the potholes in the road, so we wouldn't need to maintain the road so much. Now, fast forward 10 years, and we're looking at the system right now, today, where we're facing the challenge where lane departure warnings on vehicles are actually steering the vehicles straight into the potholes on the roads. So if you like, we've got a mismatch, and the technology in some respects has gone a different way. Of course, CITS does have a role to play in that, but we need to make sure that the different technologies are aligned. I guess, and I take a big breath, because the one area where I did have to take or slightly disagree with Jacqueline is, let's be blunt, is the use of the word autonomous, because autonomous is autonomous driving is one possible outcome. But I think, from the CEDR perspective, where we say connectivity is a prerequisite, of course, connectivity is not only a prerequisite, it is actually the end result as well. Because if we're looking at the future road transport system, and if we are expecting the road transport system to deliver all of the challenges that it will have to do in the future, we really cannot allow individual vehicles to be out there making their own decisions, and we need to maintain that structure of traffic management. And indeed, I believe we will even go even further, because there's a whole load of issues that are being discussed now with the automotive manufacturers, where the data and the availability to the data in the vehicles, if we look at issues like geofencing and other things, there'll be a whole range of areas where actually the connection between the road authorities, the road operators, and the vehicles and the drivers will be much closer. So I think that's a good one. A couple of areas maybe I would like to develop, and I think these are important, and I was surprised I didn't hear it from the Commission this morning. But is that the whole area of, again, what is our objectives? And one of the often ones we do hear is the question of congestion. I think it's a shame that we are currently the only mode that is measured on its congestion. All of the other modes deal with punctuality, which is a bit bizarre, since repeatedly when we've done customer surveys, when we look at what I love to call the customer experience, the perception of the drivers on our roads and whether they're satisfied, The issue that they mention is the question of reliability and not being surprised and arriving at the times they expect. It's not necessarily about reducing the times, and it's not this, dare I say it, this old-fashioned view of what is congestion. So there, I think we also need to work on some of the KPIs and really improve how we to work on these and work on the cost benefits, because I guess that's part of the problem. Is the classic definition of congestion can easily be put on a spreadsheet and you can assign euro values to it, whereas the punctuality and reliability, okay, in the logistics sector, people may know how to quantify that, but for passengers, it's very difficult at the moment to try and quantify that. So we need to work together, I think, on defining some of those, again, I think, to improve the customer experience, because going back to the question of automated vehicles, clearly the customer experience will change as we look forward into the intervening years. So I guess, in some quick wrap-ups, we still have a lot of the network to do. I'm very pleased, Marek, this morning you mentioned the issue of the roadmaps and the plans that have been made. I'm also very, very happy that he also mentioned the question of people and skills. Again, that's a huge challenge for road authorities right across Europe, is how do we develop those right skills, and how do we then, once we've developed those skills, ensure that, again, we aren't building or reinforcing silos. So, we're looking at how we can make sure that traffic managers and ITS experts actually get a view of what's happening out there across not only the road authorities, but also in understanding how the automotive industry has worked, how the other service providers are working. So I guess with that, my final comments, and I hope this can be a kind of mantra to the day, it's deployment, 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 learning, learning, learning from your deployment, and then deploy, deploy, deploy. Thank you very much, and good luck for the next 10 years.